Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be the mid-year book freakout tag. I do this tag every single year, so I will link last year's video down below. I usually try to do this video after June so that I can put up like my June wrap up and stuff, so that if I read books in June, I will have already talked about them in my wrap up before this tag. But I'm doing it a little bit earlier this year just because I kind of felt like it. I don't know why. So far I've read 53 books in 2022. I will link my Goodreads challenge if you want to see all of the books that I've read. I'm just gonna jump straight into the tag. So the first question is best book you've read so far in 2022. I will be making a video sometime in July about my favorite books of the year so far. I never do videos like that, but I feel like I really want to do one this year. I guess I used to do like recent favorite books videos every couple of months, and I haven't done that in a while, so I think I'm just going to talk about my favorite books of the year so far later in July. But some of my favorite books of the year so far are 10 Trends to Seduce Your Best Friend by Penny Reeds, Sweet Thing by Renee Carlino, and Juniper Hill by Devney Perry. I also really loved The Takeover by Teal Swan. I also really loved Unraveling Him by Claire Kingsley, A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy, and then one I haven't talked about yet because I read this month, but that is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is a YA contemporary and it was so good. I loved it. I literally have tabs in it, which is like the first book I've actually tabbed. I didn't really annotate it because I have issues with writing in my books. I just can't do it. So I thought this would be the easiest and like the beginning to my annotating journey. But yeah, these are like so far some of my favorite books of the year. Question number 2, best sequel you've read so far in 2022. I have 2 answers for this. I'm gonna go with like a companion series and then a like direct sequel. So one of the sequels I loved was Juniper Hill by Devney Perry. This is the second book in the Eden series. This is a companion series, so it follows a different brother in the family. This is a small town romance. It follows a single mom, and our male character is a chef, and he is also like her landlord and stuff, and she's kind of struggling. It is a very cute, heartfelt, emotional romance. I really loved this book and I really love this series so far. And a direct sequel that follows the same characters from the first book is Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. This is the second book in the Boys of Tommen series. This is a new adult high school romance. It follows Johnny and Shannon, and they are kind of both complete opposites. Well, I wouldn't say they were complete opposites. Johnny is very much a popular guy and he has a lot going for him for his future, and Shannon is struggling a lot. She has a really rough home life. She's very shy and she is just trying to make it through school. These first 2 books are very emotional and sometimes really heavy. They deal with like very heavy subject matter, but I loved the characters so much. I loved their romance. I loved how slowly they fell in love and how they just built this really strong bond. I loved the sequel. It was so good. I think I loved it more than the first book, to be honest, but yeah, I love Johnny and Shannon. Number 3, new release you haven't read yet but want to. I was trying to come up with more books for this question. I only really had one. I feel like I'm not really excited about new releases that much anymore. I don't know, I feel like nothing is really exciting to me right now. But I am really excited to read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is her newest release. I haven't read it yet, but I've loved all of Abby's other books. I've read them all, loved them, so I'm sure I will also enjoy this one. This just follows a like city ER doctor, and she falls in love with a farmer, I think. And it's also an age gap romance. The female character is older than the male character. That's all I really know about this, but hopefully I will read this soon. Number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Like I just said, I'm not really that excited about new releases for some reason. The only 2 books that I'm excited about actually come out in July, so I don't have a lot of time to wait for them, but The first one is Teased by Melanie Harlow. This is the 8th book in the Cloverleaf Farm series. I'm pretty sure this is like a fake dating, fake fiance romance, and the male character is like a billionaire. And then I'm also really excited about Garnet Flats by Daphne Perry. This is the 3rd book in the Eden series, and this I believe is a small town romance and a second chance romance. I'm also kind of excited for Going Too Far by Abby Glines. This is book, I guess, 13.5 in the Rosemary Beach series. This is about Dean Finley, and I'm actually really curious about his book. This book has been teased for like years, so I'm also kind of nervous about it, but like I'm excited, but I've been a little disappointed by Abby's recent books, so hopefully this one doesn't disappoint. So I'm kind of excited for this one too. Number 5, biggest disappointment. For this, I'm going to go with Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This one I've also read this month, so I haven't really talked about it, but this one kind of disappointed me. I expected to give it like 5 stars. I thought I was going to be obsessed with this. I thought it was going to be like my new favorite book. I had just heard really good things from like lots of people, and I unfortunately was kind of disappointed. It follows these 2 characters who kind of grew up together every summer, and they fell in love, and then suddenly they broke up, and they haven't had any contact with each other in like 12 years until Sam's mother passes away and Percy gets invited to like the funeral, and they reunite. And it goes back and forth between the past and the present, and you're trying to figure out like what happened, why did they break up, like what was such a big deal. Honestly, the reveal in this book is what disappointed me. Like, it made me hate the book. It made me feel like Percy should have ended up with somebody else. I really thought I was gonna love this, but yeah, the reveal ruined it for me. Number 6, biggest surprise. For this, I'm going to go with The Takeover by T.L. Swan. This is the 2nd book in the Miles High Club series. At the beginning of the year, I wanted to read more books that you guys recommended me, and I started this like series where you would pick what I read every 3 months. This was the book that you guys picked. I no longer do that video series because I really just want to focus on books that I actually want to read and that I know I'm going to love. But this one really, really surprised me. I did not expect to love this that much. I have read T.L. Swan in the past, and I've enjoyed her books, but this one just felt so different from anything that I've ever read from her, and I loved the characters, I loved the romance. This follows a single mom who is trying to run her late husband's company, but it's kind of failing, and our male character Tristan kind of tries to buy the company from her, but she doesn't want anything to do with him, and they kind of have this hate love situation going on. I also didn't expect to love this that much because I don't typically love age gap romances where the female character is older than the male, even by a few years. Like, sometimes I just don't really like it. Like, it kind of makes me uncomfortable for some reason. But I was so surprised by this, and I just loved this. Number 7, favorite new author, debut, or new to you? I'm gonna go with Renee Carlino. She's not a debut author. She's not really like a new author to me. Like, I've known about her for years, but I've never read her books until this year. And so far I've only read Sweet Thing, but I genuinely have a feeling that Renee Carlino will be one of my favorite authors. I have plans to read all of her books. So I would say she's like a new favorite author, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I don't really have a lot of new favorite authors recently. I feel like I keep reading the same authors over and over again because it feels safe and I know I like their books. I think Renee Carlino is slowly becoming a new favorite author. Number 8, newest fictional crush. For this, I'm going to go with Byron from 10 Trends to Seduce Your Best Friend by Penny Reed. I loved Byron. He was almost the perfect male character. He secretly pined for Winnie for like years, and he always had like the biggest crush on her, and she had like no idea. He kind of gave off the vibe like, I hate everyone but her. Also, I'm forever going to remember his drunk love confession. Like, I'm never gonna forget about that scene. It was just so beautiful. Every word that he said was just pure magic. I absolutely love him. I just thought he was such a fantastic male character, and I loved him and Winnie together. They were just perfect. That book was almost a 5-star. It was so good. I really, really loved it. Number 9, newest favorite character. I'm going to go with Willow from Bad Reputation by Kristen Becker Ritchie. I mean, she's not a new female character to me. I obviously have read the Addicted series. I read it years ago as it was coming out. And so I've known about Willow for years, but I finally read her own book and I absolutely loved her. I also loved how different she was from Garrison. Like, she was very shy and kind of naive and very nerdy, but she was also very strong. And I loved when her and Garrison kind of had some trouble in their relationship and she didn't let that affect them. Like, she knew that they were meant to be together and she was going to fight for them. And I just loved that. I just think Willow is such a fantastic female character. She kind of reminds me of like a younger Lily. I just really enjoyed reading about Willow and her journey. Number 10, book that made you cry. For this, I'm going to go with Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. This is the first book in the Boys of Tommen series. I mean, book 2 also made me cry. I feel like both of these did. This series is very emotional. It deals with abuse and just like rough family life and parents and stuff. It was just very emotional and I felt so bad for Shannon. She dealt with so many shitty things. Also just bullying in high school. She dealt with a lot of that too. And Shannon's development as a character throughout these 2 books is just so beautiful. But these first 2 books definitely made me cry a lot. Number 11, book that made you happy. For this, I'm going to go with Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This was just so cute, so adorable. I loved Liz and Wes together. I don't really read YA that much anymore, and this has made me want to get back into YA, especially YA contemporary. I feel like I'm kind of missing out for some reason. This just follows Liz, who is kind of a hopeless romantic. She is obsessed with like romance movies and rom-coms, and she really wants to find her Prince Charming. She wants to find the one. And her middle school crush moves back to town and she thinks that he might be the one. And she notices that her neighbor Wes, who is kind of her enemy, is friends with her middle school crush. And so she thinks that he might be able to help her get him to notice her. It was just so cute. I'm obsessed with both of these characters and their cute little romance. I just loved this and it made me so happy while reading this. Number 12, most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. For this, I have 2 answers. The first one is Vladimir by Julia May Jonas. I am just obsessed with this cover. I also love the hardcover. It's like this beautiful, beautiful green and has gold writing on the side. It's just so pretty. Like, I don't know why, but I'm obsessed with this cover. Also, this I haven't hauled and I kind of just saved it for this answer, but I do have the hardcover version of Bad Reputation by Kristen Becker Ritchie. I do really love this cover. I feel like it actually really suits Willow and Garrison, and the hardcover is just really pretty. I love the hands and the writing, and then the back also has like these skulls. I just think it's so pretty. I had to get this hardcover edition. Number 13, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I genuinely feel like I have so many books that I need to read by the end of the year and it's kind of stressing me out. So I don't really like to think about it a lot, but I definitely have a few that I really do need to read. One that I really need to read is From Luke Off with Love by Mariana Zapata. I just feel like I'm really gonna love this book. I feel like this might be my only 5-star read of the year, so I need to read this. I also do need to read some of the books that I mentioned in my 5-star predictions video that I did last year. I do need to read some of those in that video. I'll link that video down below. I'm not going to go through them, but I need to read those. I also need to read Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. I've been saying that I need to read this for like 3 years now, so I need to finally do that. Also, for some physical books, I would love to read Cold Hearted Reek by Lisa Kleypes. I really want to start the Ravenels series. I also really want to read Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. and Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I feel like these also might be 5 stars, so I need to read these soon. And then the last question is favorite book to film adaptation you saw so far this year. For this, I'm going to go with Through My Window. The book is by Ariana Godoy. This was actually a book on Wattpad, but obviously it's now published a book, and the movie is on Netflix. I read the book, I gave it like 3 stars. I wasn't really that into the book. I feel like if I would have read this like 5 years ago, I probably would have been obsessed with this. But the movie I am still obsessed with. This came out back in February. I watched it like the night it came out, and I truly fell in love with this movie. I feel like the beginning of the movie is very similar to the book, but then kind of towards the middle, it changes directions and it doesn't really follow the book that much after. Obviously, they did change quite a bit from the book, and I feel like if you really, really loved the book, you might not like the movie, but because obviously I didn't love the book that much, I just fell in love with the movie, and I appreciated the movie for what it was and for what it changed. And I just genuinely loved the 2 main actors. I thought they did such a great job, and I feel like they truly had such amazing chemistry. I am so excited for the 2nd and 3rd movie. I cannot wait. Kind of nervous though, because I feel like there might be like some love triangle stuff happening, but I'm still really excited for the sequels, and I just loved this adaptation. I also will say I really loved Tangled on Passionflix. I thought they did a really good job with that adaptation as well. I did a whole video on that if you want to see my full thoughts, but that one was also a really good adaptation. So that was it for my mid-year book Freakout tag. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know some of your answers to these questions down below. Let me know what your favorite book of the year so far is. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.